What's up guys, welcome to my Yujiro vs Baki arc review. This arc went from chapter 242 to 312 of the Hanma Baki manga series and finishing off that manga until it goes on to the next manga, which I'll be covering next, which is Baki Dao, whatever it's called. So before that started, this was the finale of the Hanma Baki manga series of Baki vs Yujiro. If you're new to the channel or don't know what happened to my main channel Mysterious Weeb, I recently received strikes for my Kengan Omega chapter reviews, so for now I'm not able to upload any videos on that channel for the next 10 to 12 days until I work out how to fix those strikes, or the channel will be deleted and this will become my main channel. But for now, this is my main channel where all my uploads will be going, so if you haven't already, subscribe and join the Discord for more updates and to talk more about Baki's greatness. Hope you enjoy the review and let's get into it. So the fight began with them falling out of the building, as we saw with the end of the last review. They falling out of the building, going into the streets. They were going to have dinner together, or that was the plan. Yujiro invited Baki over for dinner, as previous few chapters before that, at the end of the previous arc, we had Baki inviting Yujiro over for dinner. It was all this set up for the big fight. That's what we got during this arc, and the fight ended up starting midway through their dinner, or as it was about to begin. Baki talking to Yujiro, not taking it anymore, and then pretty much chucking him out of the skyscraper, and they're able to land and be able to survive with no pain, and the fight began. The fight truly began with a powerful slap from Yujiro onto Baki's back, which made him feel pain, so much pain that he considered it the most painful damage or painful attack that he's ever felt in his whole life. And then he tried to do the exact same thing back to Yujiro, but Yujiro is able to counter it by tensing all his muscles extremely, getting all these funny faces out of him, trying to do that thing, showing that Yujiro's experience is far beyond, and Baki can't just copy what Yujiro does and do it back to him, as Yujiro has counters for that. Baki is able to go all out in this fight, as the residents living in the vicinity have been moved to a hotel and the help from the army to seclude the area, but this doesn't really matter later on or during the fight, as more people keep gathering around to watch the great fight unfold. A lot of the people that we see watching, such as other Baki fighters, want Baki to defeat the ogre, but at this point it's not looking too good for Baki. Yujiro has been dominating the fight so far, and even taunting Baki with how little he is in comparison to Yujiro, and how far they are apart in the fighting skill and absolute just raw power, as shown with the thing. And this leads to Baki to focus more and get in the full state of seriousness fighting and is ready to go all out. Baki has been using many techniques from his visualized training, such as cockroach tackle and other various moves from his visualized training that he's gone through since the last 300 chapters that we've seen him do, many training throughout all that. Yujiro trying to call it a day for the fight, saying this isn't time for the fight, but Baki isn't having it and starts to talk shit to want to continue fighting. And of course, it's so hyped to see this. Our boy Pickle is here as well. We see him first introduced chilling on a skyscraper, and you can pretty much sense that something's going down, sense that a big battle's happening. There's a lot of talking shit and chit chat between Baki and Yujiro throughout this fight, which is mentioned later on with some characters that start talking shit to them as well. But there's a lot of talking in between. This doesn't go into a constant battle back and forward. There's a lot of talking in between their attacks. So this Yujiro, talking shit to Baki, then praising him, Baki talking shit, then praising him, and then there's a whole lot of talk in between. Dopo Orochi is at the fight scene watching and trying to make sense of their fight and how they move and what they use, but is having issues in actually fully working out and even understanding how the fight is going. Baki is in tears because Yujiro praised him for the first time in 18 years. There's a lot of flashbacks throughout the arc to, their first initial battle when it was Baki younger, where his mother was killed by Yujiro and all that. A lot of flashbacks to that and contrast to how that fight went, and Baki just flashing back on everything pretty much despicable that Yujiro has done, and then with him praising him, he can't handle the emotion what it had given to him, and he just doesn't understand what's going on for the most part. And we get a Yujiro, or we get some Yujiro parts, which is great to see, and we actually got to see Yujiro's mother, which is Baki's grandmother, who seems to be some type of monk or something. We get to see Yujiro as a baby for a little bit and all that cool stuff, which was good to see. We got the official very much reveal of Yujiro's mother. Pickle has arrived on the scene while Baki is down. Baki was taken down by a fury of Yujiro attack, so Baki gets up and starts to attack Pickle, and got to realize to not get involved, so Pickle sat down and watched the fight like a good boy. Pickle arrives thinking, oh yeah, I want to be part of this. He wants to have some fun because, at the end of Pickle arc, he realized he wants to be a fighter like all these other people, getting a love for fighting similar to the other fighters in Baki, and he's one of them now. He sees the intense battle going on from the distance, decides to show up, and Baki isn't having it. This fucks up, knocks out 2 of his teeth instantly, and then tells him to sit down, don't get involved, this isn't your fight. And Pickle's able to understand what's going on, just sits down like a good boy, which is very interesting and good to see. Baki was able to pin Yujiro down, and we see that Oliver is watching from a building close by as well. It's like sweat dripping off him in shock of what's going on. But Baki was able to pin Yujiro down, first person to ever actually do some real something to Yujiro whatsoever in the whole series for what we've seen. As expected, Yujiro is able to get out of Bucky's hold, and then this is where many people around describe Yujiro as divine, as something close to a god, or if not a god, with how he fights, with how his physique, and just everything about him is said to be divine. Bucky was knocked out by Yujiro again, and we saw on Bucky's back something that's similar to Yujiro's back, but in the form of a tiny devil back. That's what it's kind of described in the manga as well, a tiny devil back. So it's very interesting to see that Bucky actually has the devil back as well, not the same fully crazy devil back by Yujiro, but it's in the form of a tiny devil back, so that he's developing the same devil back as Yujiro has. And we get to see, it's not directly mentioned, but it's shown in like the background of many things of Bucky's devil brain, with it somewhat being considered unique to him. And we actually get the reveal of Yujiro's father, Yujiro. The father of Yujiro and grandfather Baki has appeared in some type of image training spirit form thing, and he seems to be somewhat similar to Baki, and this could lead to why Yujiro treats Baki how he does, because it reminds him of his father, and he may have disdain for his father, or actually does have disdain for his father, with it showing their small conversation with Yujiro getting his backstory that I'll talk about soon, or his pretty much backstory, him saying that he wants Baki to pretty much defeat Yujiro. His backstory is pretty much him defeating the USA. He was the first person to actually defeat the USA. I think it was during World War II this happened, but he was the person who defeated the USA before Yujiro did. So for a few chapters, you got him bodying all these USA soldiers, and the generals of the army say they're not able to take out this person, and that the only way they're going to be able to stop him is to send a nuke down, which is just a true testament to Yuichiro's power. It's also mentioned that he didn't have really that much martial arts experience, that he only really used one technique, and then Yujiro used that technique on Baki after his spirits pretty much disappeared. And it was also revealed that Yujiro also had a fully developed demon back, very similar to the one Yujiro has. So that's good to know that the Hanma family all have these demon backs, but none have shown to have the same demon brain that the Baki has. People, and then the spirit ends away, we got all the Yujiro stuff, which was cool. I may make a separate video on that as well, but it was very cool to see the father and mother of Yujiro now. That was great to see. People getting nervous that Yujiro might actually kill Baki, as Yujiro just smashing him to cars everywhere, just completely fucking up Baki 100%, just destroy him. But then this is where Baki was able to knock Yujiro down again, actually make him bleed everywhere and knock him down. But once that beating finally finished, it was showing that Baki was just kind of trolling Yujiro, just putting these little pieces of scrap together to form like a little person, while getting completely fucked up to just flex on Yujiro. And this is where the return of Bucky's girlfriend came in to talk shit to them, showing pretty much talking shit about how she came to watch a real fight, not just two people talking shit to each other the whole time, which was a lot of the fight, which was a little bit disappointing. And she's right about that, it's them talking instead of fighting. But then Baki assured her that this is a real fight, this is a family fight, and this is like how the Hanma family fights or deals with stuff, something like along those lines. Everyone was watching the fight, tens of thousands have gathered around just to watch these two go at each other. And throughout the chapter, it is like going to contrast with ancient ruins that show devils fighting, contrasting to the fight, or contrasting to the Hanma family with their devil back, devil brain, and all that. So it was just showing these archaeologists going down a tomb or something along those lines, and seeing these ancient ruins of these devils fighting to the death or something along those lines, which could be related to the Hanma family and everything around that. We see Jack a little bit enraged that he wanted to be the one to do this, he wanted to be the one to defeat or fight Yujiro, but he's just screaming enraged that he isn't being able to do it. Baki is knocked down again, full of blood. Yujiro has gone pretty much full power again and has completely started fucking up Baki. And then out of respect, Yujiro made soup for Baki when he was down, and then Baki was able to get out completely beaten and admits that he was defeated, and they ended with a handshake after Baki eats his soup, talks a little bit shit again, but they pretty much admit that these two are close in strength, but Baki admits that he was defeated and had lost against Yujiro. And that was the end of the fight between Yujiro and Baki. So most likely at some point, from what I know on the recent chapters of Baki Dude, Baki Dao, they haven't fought again, so that'll probably be the end of the series whenever that happened when Baki and Yujiro get to have a fight again, which will be very great to see. This fight was a tiny bit disappointing. It was very enjoyable when they fight, especially near the end where Baki was knocked down full of blood for good, where they had this like a back and forth. The art was top tier greatness, just a back and forth slamming brawl into each other, crazy. Everyone just in shock that's watching until Baki was knocked down full of blood, and then out of respect Yujiro made soup for him. Going back to the whole reason was Baki was even there in the first place for them to have dinner, and then the fight was over and everyone got to see the fight happen. So as a whole, I very enjoyed this arc. My highlight was the arc of the near the end of the fight where they had the, you know, crazy brawl back and forth, and then Baki admitting defeat, Yujiro making soup for him. The reveal of Yujiro, or the grandmother and grandfather of Baki, the reveal of them two getting the backstory, Yujiro showing to be a monster as well, having the devil bags, Baki actually having a tiny devil bag, growing his own devil bag, which was great to see. Seeing all the characters watching the fight they were seeing throughout the series was all great and well, and a solid chapter. Not the best in the series, but one of the best fights in the series. Not the best in my opinion. I'll probably say top 5 in the series. I think it could be better, and probably when they fight again it will be better, but a solid arc, very enjoyable, and stay tuned for the next arc review. If you enjoyed, subscribe, and that's it guys. Peace.